This live stream is presented to you by MaxspeedTV. All live streaming content that is presented in this telecast is owned by MaxspeedTV, Rudy Cummings, and the entire crew of MSTV. This may not be rebroadcasted, retransmitted, and retelevised without written consent. Please enjoy today's broadcast.
Don't count out Casey Drake in that 87. He's right.
One more lap to go here at Indy. He ran him all the way from 3 seconds back. 2 laps to go. Oh, round 2 gets done. Oh, Matthew gets the apron. Around the Strexler. He spins right from the back. Huge wreck. The 2 flies up in the air. It's 3 wide. Oh, what a move by Derek. He wants to go.
Tries to send him up the hill, but can't quite do it.
Now between the two is 2 car lengths. Too little too late for Derek and Smith. Oh, Clapping gets turned! Clapping gets turned! Oh my gosh! Side by side, 3 wide at the wire!
iSCAR TSP IndyCar Series getting set to go green for one of the most special events here in the iSCAR Racing Series. We present to you here for tonight the Indy 250, 100 laps of action about to go down here tonight at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And me oh my, I am really excited for this race.
Yeah, and with this race having a payout, like a prize pool, it just ramps up the intensity even more for these guys. But one thing I really do want to stress here is these guys do not need to be making moves that they think are going to win the race on lap 5, because it's a long 100-lap race, and they have a lot of time to think about and strategize their moves and their pit strategy.
It is going to be a long race, and here at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's a really, really big event. I mean, anytime you go to Indianapolis, especially with this car and track combo, it brings that feeling of, anticipation, feeling like it's a big event, especially with a payout. I'm gonna hope to see a lot of these drivers really making conservative moves, trying to get themselves to the end rather than being quick on the gun, coming early. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. 100 laps. We might see some strategy. I think it's gonna be one of the more interesting races this season.
Oh, no doubt about it. And of course, you mentioned how iconic this track car combo is with Indy cars. Of course, they were meant to run here on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This racing provides something we see similar on the Super Speedway side on these Saturday series, but I'm unsure on who's gonna get the benefit of the doubt, because I don't know who's really good here on the IndyCar side, and I don't know who's bad, I guess. No offense, but
I mean, we can take a little bit off of what happened at Pocono. Some of the guys that were strong there, like Derek Smith, like Brody Garner, who ended up winning that race, like Hunter Johnson. I mean, all those guys were fast there. I expect them to be fast here, but man, look at who's up on the top of the board. That's Justin Johnson.
Justin Johnson is number 4 machine. I've known him for a while. He's been in the series for a while, actually. I don't know how long he's been in here, though, but yeah, that number 4 topping charts, and I know he doesn't have like a great computer, so that number 4 looking fairly strong as right now.
Benjamin, you mentioned the fact that our last race was oval. On the oval side of things was at Pocono. Of course, last week we went a little bit up north to Watkins Glen, but in terms of this track, this track is way different than what we saw at Pocono. Pocono is, of course, 3 corners, but it has a little more banking when it comes through it. I think turn 3 is the most comparable when it comes down to the corners you'll see here at this track. All a little bit banked. They're just a tiny bit banked, but it's mostly flat through the bottom. And, you know, everybody has to kind of scramble to get all the way to that rumble strip, but not get too low. You have to kind of stay on that line, and you really have to consider yourself there when it comes down to the draft, because draft is going to play a huge factor. And that's exactly what we saw at Pocono. We saw a bunch of drivers going all the way down the white line, trying to break the draft, snake trailing to the bottom, heading back up the track, going into the turn, and making passes there will be the crucial part of this race at Indianapolis, because the 2 long straights here are way longer than what we see at Pocono. That is going to be the key factor going into today.
Oh yeah, that breaking the draft that you mentioned, it's going to be happening almost every lap here on this racetrack. These guys are going to try and, you know, fend these guys off as much as possible, and that's why we're going to see these guys break the draft down the straightaways. And yeah, man, it's going to be intense from the drop of the green flag here.
All right, we're going to scoot ourselves into qualifying. As it happens now, we'll also pull ourselves into the virtual national anthem. Rise out, remove your hats as we salute our nation's colors. We welcome you here back alive at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway, getting set to go green for the first annual iSCAR Indy 250 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Oh boy, currently qualifying is underway, and it's different. 4 laps rather than your classic 2, but it still goes by fastest lap. Here tonight, as drivers just keep themselves in a round, but whoever gets the pole here for tonight, gonna earn a bit of bucks. Gonna earn $5 toward their pocket.
Yeah, basically it's just an extra incentive to try and qualify up front. And you'll see that leaderboard shuffle the entire session here. Diego Moscato actually on top of the board right now. Man, he could use that to buy the cup car that he wants to use in the Super Speedway Series. I think that money would be put to good use there. But Brody Garner takes the top spot, so Diogo's going to have to, you know, re-rack and maybe set another fast lap as Ryan Berry goes to the top of the board in the number 59.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing that they have a little bit more time to kind of get their cars straightened out for the qualifying laps. You know, you mentioned 4 laps instead of the regular 2 that we have in the rest of the series and the other tracks, you know. So 4 laps around this track really can make the difference between, you know, getting a better time rather than setting those 2 and regretting the fact that maybe the driver messed up on one of the turns. Maybe they didn't have the opportunity that they had. So now that they have these 4 laps, you're going to see a lot of drivers really shoot to the top of the board when it comes to these times. You're looking at Brody Garner still working his times around the racetrack, and currently first on the board. He's making a lot of good moves. He was the winner at Pocono. I think he's going to have a really good strong run tonight.
Man, these times are really close. Look at Charlie Byer. He's taking the top spot now. Josh Patterson up to the 2nd spot in qualifying. As we're closing in on a minute left, we'll see if Christopher Weil can get a fast lap time here on the board. He's one of the favorites to win on the ovals here on the IndyCar series. He goes through 3 and 4 right now, and we'll see when he comes to the stripe what that lap time's going to be down the front straightaway. We'll see what he's going to do right here.
To the start-finish line. Well, we'll cross the board into, drum roll please. He won't move up any positions.
Wow.
So the number 41 will have to maintain himself in 9th place, 3rd in line. And I mentioned 3rd in line. Usually he'd be all the way back in the 4th or 5th row, but here tonight, it's going to be a bit interesting. It's going to be a classic Indy 500 restart in which all these drivers are going to line themselves up 3x3. We'll fling it off of the green, and all these drivers will go up and away 3x3 into turn number 1. Hopefully, they can single themselves out quickly. But yeah, it's going to be a very exciting start. Hopefully, nobody runs into each other.
Yeah, you don't want to see that early in the race, of course. I'm hoping that these guys at least make it to the halfway point before they start, really tearing stuff up. But we've closed in on the end of qualifying, and as time runs out, it looks like Charlie Byer will pick up $5 for winning the pole here tonight for the Indy 250. So congratulations to Charlie on that. Man, that's great to see. But Josh Patterson starts in the middle of the front row. It looks like Ryan Berry will be starting third and on the outside of that front row.
Yeah,
so, these rows are not very accurate at all.
No.
There's one more on each row, which 3x3 start here. So you'll see these guys get into a 3x3 formation, and well, they'll be starting like that, but don't really expect them to be 3x3 heading into the corners. I think they'll sort themselves out before then.
Yeah, no doubt about it, but oh boy. It's gonna be something different that these drivers will have to encounter here for tonight. Gotta try something new and mix it up here. With the payout coming in for tonight, that just adds a little bit of an
bonus.
Yeah, bonus, I guess you could say. Some pros, some cons. Might result in the wreck, honestly, but 100 laps here tonight. Hopefully these drivers just stay away from each other and run their own races. But here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, oh man, very, very excited on seeing how this race will pan out as we head for this green flag. About 5 minutes.
So guys, just based off of what we've seen in the last oval race and what we've seen in practice and qualifying, who do you think has a good shot of winning tonight?
For me, I don't want to count out Hunter Johnson. I mean, yeah, I mean, Hunter in that number 12 machine, he told me he led multiple laps in the Indy 500 last year, so that number 12 looking to get some redemption, I guess you could say. That number 12, I mean, he has multiple wins this entire season. He's led laps at Pocono, where he was at Watkins Glen because that race was unbroadcasted. But yeah, that number 12 is looking fairly strong.
Kenneth, how about you?
All right, well, my pick lands a little bit further up the board when it comes to the first couple of rows. That's Brody Garner. Brody Garner was a winner in the Oval this year on the first race of the season at Pocono, and especially with Pocono sharing a little bit of similarities to this track. Of course, this track is so iconic, you can't really compare it 100%. But with this race, I think Brody Garner has that Oval experience. I think he knows precisely how to manage the draft. He's made moves on the outside, inside. Derek Smith, we saw that happen. That was an incredible battle between the two, and Brody Garner, of course, ending up with the upper hand there in a win. I think Brody Garner has the most Oval experience with these Indy cars. He comes off the momentum with the win at Pocono. I think he takes a checker flag tonight.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you there, and also the fact that he's probably the person in this field that does the most IndyCar on the official side of things. So that always helps you when you come to an oval track. But I'm gonna go pick somebody else. I think Derek M. Smith is gonna pick up the win here tonight. He's also been fantastic on the oval tracks, and I think he'll be there at the end and pick up the win. But I mean, there's a lot of strong drivers here tonight, so any of them can win. We'll see what happens after 100 laps.
Yep, race announcement is going to be shown on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. The pit road fuel window is actually 25 to 30 laps. Pit road speed, I think it's 55 or 45. I'll have to get a check on that, maybe under caution. But here we go, stacked up 3x3. What a beautiful sight to see at Indy as we get set for the first annual Indy 250. Oh boy. I'm not sure what to really expect about this, but man. Oh man. Some of these drivers really pulling up. Brody Gardner needs to reattach himself to that row, but here we go. Off the final corner, the number 7 of Charlie Byer, the third car on the right, will lead them to the green as we're 3x3 stacked up, getting set for the first ever iSCAR IndyCar flag at Indianapolis. Green, green, green. We're up and away for 100 laps.
And they don't waste time getting out of 3 wide. They're actually going to get maybe single file up here towards the front. As I say that, Latham Joyner goes to the inside of Patterson, and these guys really shuffle through 1 and 2 right now, but Charlie Byer is taking the charge through 1 and 2 right now. Josh Patterson slots in the second spot as looks like Joe Berg. I'm not sure if he has pit started or something there, but he went to the top of the board for a second. But look at the snake train down the back straightaway. Here comes Josh Patterson to the inside for the race lead into 3.
Oh, one car! Oh my goodness.
Oh boy, that was close, but everybody's going too wide right now. Meanwhile, the race lead shifts to the 0-2 of Josh Patterson with Latham Joyner right there, still trying to fight off Charlie Byer. See a couple drivers with the draft, and the draft is playing a key factor. Here comes the crash!
It's on turn 1 in the air. Big crash, a massive pileup. More cars just flying into the catch fence. On lap number 2, massive crash. Couple cars cartwheeling in turn number 1. A parking lot has been made in turn number 1 on lap number 2 after Brody Garner made an aggressive move way to the inside, and it just did not work. And several cars go just flying into the catch fence in turn number 1. Man, that took out a lot of strong guys already. Yeah,
that's unbelievable.
Josh Patterson involved. I think Charlie Byer might have also gotten involved in that. Latham Joyner involved as well. We're going to see what happened. I think Joyner was the first one to get turned. We'll watch it here on the replay.
Oh,
And
Brody just straight
right
ran
in the back
him
of Joyner. And a big crash. Just they're all turning gyrations upside down in turn number 1. The cone gets taken out as well. More cars just flipping, doing cartwheels on the track. Josh Patterson comes to a rest upside down. Hunter Johnson was also involved in that. It looks like he got away just fine. But, wow. I cannot believe that's happened this early in the race. You hate to see it.
Brody was, you mentioned it, Brody in that red machine, he just went to the inside. Latham sorta, I mean, he did come down just a bit, but Brody, he never really turned around. I mean, turned left to, you know, it's hard to call that. Just way too aggressive here in lap number 1, and unfortunately, we've piled up this whole front pack, and all those people running, you know, their own race up here toward the back, easily avoiding it, will get themselves back situated. Yeah, I really don't know what to say about that.
Yeah, I think what we were seeing down the front straightaway, Brody Garner was trying to go 3 wide. He was looking to that inside to surge for the race lead, and I think Joyner was just trying to get a little bit high to block, but I think by the time he was blocking, you know, Brody was already there, and it was just a little bit too late for those guys to react, especially Brody Garner to lift off the throttle while he was basically already made contact with the back of that Indy car. So that sent him up the wall. I think it might have been that case, but still a huge collision containing multiple drivers. Hunter Johnson was involved in there as well. Charlie Byer, Josh Patterson, the guys up front. You know, that's really tough, especially for Charlie Byer running on the pole. You gain those $5, you have that momentum, and then it just ends like that.
Yeah, and some more guys that I figured out have gotten involved in that include Derek M. Smith. He was involved in the crash, as well as Dominic Howell. Both those guys went spinning.
A car sideways on pit road, you see that?
Yeah. Oh, man. We seen Hunter Johnson also was involved, so, man, lots and lots of fast drivers just taken out on lap number 2 when that was just such a preventable accident. It just all went wrong. And, man, that wiped out at least 5 cars from the field, if not more.
Got 100 laps, and drivers are just, I just don't know what's going through their head. You can't really change driver mentality, but unfortunately, some driver mentalities collide. That was a perfect example of driver mentality just straight out the door, and unfortunately, it involved a lot of drivers. You hate to see it for, and people like the 7 of Charlie Byer, 0-2 of Patterson, Latham Joyner in the 26. Connor Brandon, Hunter Johnson was also involved in that. Looks like the number 3,
Ryan
Michael
Berry?
Maggio, he too was involved in it. I think Ryan Berry too.
Nate Stewart maybe also involved. Man, I mean, that's just a lot of drivers right there.
Where's Barry? Yeah, Barry has damage.
Destroyed.
Nate, his rear end's gone. You see the engine compartment exposed on that machine.
Yep. no back wing there.
Everybody else is just floating along right now, but yeah. Alright, take the 1 to green this time by. Some drivers toward the rear. Gonna scoot themselves on in. Brody Gardner in the 55. Still up front. Corey Rexford in the 03 is going to be in 2nd place. Eli O'Quinn is going to be in 3rd. Christopher Weil in 4th. Ryan Kendrick in 5th place. We saw his really resilient run at Pocono, missing a whole back end, and still manages to finish up in the top 10. Bachman in the 119. Cole Woody in the 194, but 914. Joe Berge, Derek M. Smith, and William Schmidt round out the top 10. Alright, we'll do it again, and hopefully nobody runs into the back of each other this time.
Not 3x3, so we're going to see
Yeah.
a whole lot less jockeying for position at this point. So I think that wreck is going to alarm people to start taking it easy a little more and just ride around. I mean, it's 100 laps, as you said earlier, so I mean, they have a lot of things to think about, including pit strategy if we get that long run, when they're going to pit, conserving gas. I mean, there's just so much factor that goes into this stuff. So looks like those pace car lights are off, and Brody Gardner will be leading them right back here to this restart.
Yep, here they go off of turn number 4. Top 5, 55, 03, 17, 41, 00 as the pace car sort of waiting itself as he now does the left-hand turn onto pit road. Green flag is out. Brody on the throttle hard. We're backed up and away here at Indy, and you see the big fan out that all these drivers have because they're single file. A lot of these drivers maybe toward the back are scrambling around, but the top 3 aiming to pull away. Now, Brody hit the throttle a bit earlier than anticipated, and it allows that whole top 3 to pull away. We'll see what the 41 Christopher Weil does once he catches up to this top 3, but as of right now, how about that? The 03 of Corey Rexford moves himself to the front. And it's been a while since I've seen that 03 run up there in the lead. Very exciting to see another proximity member take it to the front as 3 wide action, and Quinn to the bottom side. He might lead this lap at the line. Oh, man.
He did. And Christopher Weil's going to follow him right under. And Eli O'Quinn has taken the lead here in the Indy 250 here on lap number 7. But Corey Rexford will fight back here on the outside. But, yeah, Christopher Weil moved up into the 3rd spot. And who's that catching up? That's Ryan Kendrick, who's up in this group. Now 5 cars leading this race.
Yeah, 2x2. Here comes Christopher down to the bottom. 3 wide for the race leader. Looks like Eli will back out. Here comes Corey Rexford to the outside, and they'll find up single file. New leader, Christopher Weil in the 41. He'll lead him off of 4 to the start-finish line.
Yeah, now top 2 pull away because of that. The 03 wants a bit more of that. This time he might lead a lap at the wire, and yes, he does. The 03 back to the front, but he has a lot of challengers right behind. You see the 17, the 55, Brody Gardner, Eli O'Quinn. They want in on the action, and they want toward the front.
And all those moves, that's enabled this second group to catch up, and now look at how big this group is as they all go down the back straightaway together. Side by side right now, looks like Christopher may have the advantage going into 3, but Corey Rexford's been hanging tough on the outside lane.
Yeah, it is tough. They are battling also for second as well. Eli O'Quinn still fighting hard to the outside on the 55er Brody Gardner, but that's currently allowing the guys behind them. You see Bachman in the 119, Berge, a bunch of cars stacked up around here and on the front straightaway. They're going to be 2x2, but Christopher Weil, with the help of the 17, going to lead him into turn 1.
Have themselves in a 1 and 2, and looks like the 03 of Rexford got trapped on that outside lane. Doesn't have really as much help as he wanted to. Brody is actually going to scoot right behind the 03. But they're double wide up front. Back to the outside goes a 17 and Eli O'Quinn. He wants this lead back. Oh, man. Christopher is really shoving into 3. He still wants to keep the top spot. And that'll open up the door yet again for the 03 of Corey Rexford.
And Rexford's going to give the slipstream to the 41, and those guys will advance on the inside. We'll see where Brody Garner goes. If he's going to try and force it up the middle 3 wide, as he's going to push out Eli O'Quinn to the outside, and Brody Garner right up the middle. It's going to be side by side with Christopher for the top spot.
You know, it is tough to be on the outside here in Indianapolis, but so far the drivers on the outside, they seem to make it work just a little bit. Of course, Brody Garner had to lay off a little bit in a turn 2 in the tunnel turn, but now he has the momentum back to the outside line, working pretty well here. And the driver that I said was consistent at Pocono, won the race at Pocono, made that outside line work. He's back battling for the race lead with Christopher Wow, side by side.
Yeah, the top 2 both have each 1 win of the season, but that number 17, Eli O'Quinn, wants to spoil this top 2. Through the middle goes the 03 of Rexford. What a move, and he moves himself into 2nd place.
We've been seeing a lot of moves up the middle. Maybe that's the place to be if you're trying to make a pass on the white flag. We'll have to see where everybody's going to position themselves when it comes to that. But, of course, long way to go. We've just hit 90 laps to go. So, man, these guys still racing intense, but also still racing clean. We haven't seen any contact as we work down the back straightaway.
Yeah, here comes Bachman to the inside. He's going to get the draft off of Eli O'Quinn. Looks like a little bit of checkup for the 17 there. But what a move by Corey Rexford down the front straightaway, down the middle, 3 wide. He's going to attack to the outside of the 41. Here might be the new race leader, but here comes Brody Garner to the middle.
And a little bit of blinking from Rexford up on that outside lane, and he continues to blink. We'll see if that's going to mess anybody up, but man, they go through 1 and 2 side by side for the first 2 rows. I'm surprised on how the outside line's working, guys.
Oh, 1 car tags the... Oh, my goodness. Oh, I cannot believe that.
Who saved that? That was an unbelievable job. Was that Dominic? I think it might have been.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Wow, nice job.
It's so hard to save an IndyCar here. I'm very, very surprised about that. Dominic Howe just keeping it straight, but unfortunately, he's out of the draft and will be out of the lead. Maybe falling back for this lead draft here soon. But meanwhile, up front, Christopher Wow has retained the lead, and they're battling here for 2nd place. Corey Rexford wants a bit more.
Yeah, O'Quinn made a move to the inside. He was thinking about making it 3 wide, but decided not to. But, man, look at who's come up in the top 5. He was involved in the last crash. That's Derek Smith, who didn't get a whole lot of damage from that, but did run into the back of a couple guys and spun them out in that wreck. But, I mean, there was not a whole lot of places to go. But either way, he's up in the top 5 now after getting involved in an incident. So, man, some of these guys have been able to recover from that crash really well. It's really surprising to me that they've been able to, hang with these guys.
Well, you know the saying, it's not over until it's over, and that's the testament for Derek M. Smith right now. As you see Brody Garner working to the high side. Eli O'Quinn with a 3 wide move, and he might make a challenge. Oh my goodness, what a move by that 17. He works to the outside, still side by side for the race lead down the back straightaway.
Yeah, the 17, he shoved himself to the high side. Wow was all the way against that inside wall. Didn't allow him to get a good entrance into that first corner. It allowed the 17 to get up to this outside. He might retain the lead, but Wow's fighting back on the low side. We'll see of where Rexford will help, the inside or the outside. It looks like he wants to go ahead and hug that white line, and Christopher Wow will go back to the front. But, oh, we got a wreck in the back, and around goes Bolin, and we'll involve at least three or more drivers as 1 car goes rocketing up into the air.
Severe crash down the front straightaway. 2nd caution of the night. Oh, and he gets punted again by Mullen. Who is that has been sent flipping? Ryan Kendrick. Oh, man. Oh. Some other guys got involved in that as well. So, looks like around a 5-car incident has brought out the 2nd caution of the day here on lap number 15. We'll see what happened here. It looks like somebody made contact with Mullen. I'm not sure who that is down the front straightaway, but him and Mullen make contact, and that's what sent these guys. Oh, he overcorrects right into him. The car steps out on him, he overcorrects, and there's just nowhere for some of these guys to go. Ryan Kendrick gets projected in the air, and then physics takes over, and he continues to barrel roll through the front straightaway.
That was the 914 of Cole Woody. He tagged the rumble strips right there, and the car just broke loose.
William Schmidt, did you see how he made it through that? Oh my goodness, that you can't get any closer than that. Just watch it from his point of view. This is crazy.
Oh, he got lucky.
Oh my
He got lucky,
man. That was insane. I don't have any words for that. That was probably one of the best avoidances I've seen him make. But man, now these guys may be coming into the pits for some service here.
All these drivers hitting pit road for the second time tonight as we now cross into lap 16 at the wire. Of course, four fresh Goodyears. I think these are Hoosier tires that these Indy cars are run, but everybody in and out fairly nice and evenly. Some of those drivers even spinning their tires to get back onto the racing track. Christopher a while beats out everybody. The 7.98 pit stop.
Fast stop right there, but Brody Garner had an even faster pit stop, but didn't gain any positions there, so looks like these guys will hold serve out of the pits, but Derek Smith up to second.
Yeah, he had a really good pit stop down there, and he was able to gain a couple of spots. He was down in the top 5, and I was just about to mention how he kind of cut through that second pack, because he was in the middle of that while they were going through the green flag, and then after just a couple of laps, he was all the way there in the top 5, almost fighting for what looked to be like 5th, 4th, or possibly 3rd. And now that blazing pit stop by the 66, that's going to enable him to be right in the spot to get at the target right in front of him, the 41, for the race C. But then again, it's a long race. You know, you have to really strategize yourself conservatively, and really we haven't seen that too much with some of the drivers, especially with the move in the first caution of the race with going 3 wide, and we have already seen that a couple of times with Eli O'Quinn, Corey Rexford 3 wide. These drivers are not letting up, even though it's early in the race, but it's provided some intense racing.
It's one of the most exciting IndyCar races I've ever watched on iRacing. This has just been something else here. And, I mean, even though there's a lot of attrition thus far, I mean, we've just gotten a show put on for us here, and I'm not expecting anything less in these next 85 laps just based on how these guys ran in the first 15. So, can't wait to see some of the moves that we're going to see later in the race. It's just been crazy these first, 15 laps where these guys, go up the middle, go flying up the outside, making passes up high in the corners. I mean, it's been something else right now.
Alright, so pace car lights are off. About to get set to go green yet again. 16 drivers on the racetrack. About to be 17 in a moment as Nick Miller works himself back onto the racetrack after being in the garage for a while. But top 3, Christopher Wilde, Derek M. Smith, Brody Gardner. 3 familiarized drivers be sparking that green flag yet again. We've seen them up front so many times.
Yeah, and then we've seen some guys up here that have really not had the chance to show off what they can do. Guys like Eli O'Quinn, who has led laps today, and David Bachman, who's been staying in the top, 6, 7, 8 the whole race. I mean, both of those guys putting on impressive performances right now. Same with Joe Bergen as well in the 7th spot. Garrett Hess 8th, Mitch Hobbs 9th. I think he just bought the IndyCar, so it's a learning experience for him, but he's running in the top 10 as well as Diogo Moscato in the 94.
Yeah, you mentioned all those newer drivers and those drivers who have a chance to be up in this top 10, but then look at the top 3. Those drivers were battling at Pocono all night long, and they were side by side, trading positions. It's going to be interesting to see how those 3 fare out once we reach this green flag off of turn 4.
Up in the pace car will take a hard left onto pit road to get out of the harm's way. Green flag will drop as the number 41, Christopher Weil, will hit the throttle. We're back up and away at Indianapolis.
Green's out. Green flag. Green flag.
Yeah, pretty decent start for everybody. You see Eli O'Quinn moves to the inside of Corey for the 4th spot. Down the front straightaway, looks like he'll have that, but they head through 1 and 2 right now. Christopher, Derek, and Brody seem to be getting away from the rest of the field.
Clean through 1 and 2 with Derek M. Smith behind the 41 as well as the 55. Now the 55 is going to make a move. Almost, and now here comes the 66 of Derek M. Smith to the bottom. He's going to try and contend for this race lead, but remember that outside lane continues to fight hard in the outside. They're still side by side through the short chute.
Into 3 and 4 they go, and that number 17 of Eli O'Quinn just closed the gap from 4th to 3rd, and he wants to gun into this top 3 to the low side. He goes. You see a bit of blocking right there as Rexford was trying to cut off one of those purple machines. That's Joe Berkey. It's not going to work. Into the low they go, and a big wreck yet again. And oh my goodness.
Yep, David Bachman is one of them. It looks like Corey Rexford is the other, so Joe Berkey not involved in this. It's David Bachman, and Corey Rexford, who made contact down the front straightaway. I think Corey was trying to pinch David down heading into one, and it didn't work. Those guys got hooked into each other and just went careening into the outside catch fence. Man, heavy crash to bring out another caution.
Yeah,
Wow.
Bachman just, it was simple. Oh, not a great
was there.
camera angle, but yeah, he was definitely there.
And Corey, I guess, just ran him out of room. This will be a much better angle to see exactly what happened. See the clear picture. It looks like, yeah, Corey just turns down just slightly.
Corey was probably expecting Bachman to come down earlier than I thought, as Christopher Wallace also disconnected out of nowhere.
Whoa.
What?
So,
What?
Oh, no.
yeah, he's currently displayed 1 lap down.
Oh, man. Did he fall through or did he alt F4? There could be two different things that happened there. We're gonna have to see what happened, but that does leave Eli O'Quinn with the race lead right now. So it'll be interesting to see what the story behind the 41's disconnection is here. Man, that was falling through. That is totally unfortunate. But yeah, Eli O'Quinn is going to lead some of his first laps in iSCAR. So that's nice to see here from the 17 car right now.
Yeah, and this'll, this will shrink the field even more as we eliminated 2 more drivers. Corey Rexford, David Bachman are out of it, but pit road's open this time by some of these drivers. Oh, looks like everybody except Eli will hit pit road. Oh, yet again.
Only a few guys stay out. The rest of these guys are in. So looks like our leader, Eli O'Quinn, is the only driver, or one of 2 drivers to stay out. Not sure if that other driver's a lap car or not, but rest of these guys in for service, getting some fresh tires on the car, filling up on gas, and they'll be out quickly here. As you see, they're already coming out. And if we do have a spin back there, I'm not sure who that is. One of the AK racing cars, I believe, might be Klein or Diogo. Not completely sure.
It's Diogo.
Yeah, Diogo Moscato has spun on the exit of the pit lane. Oh, thankfully that guy didn't hit him there. But yeah, Diogo's going to get back going, but he will lose some positions after that miscue. But they exit the pits right now. We're going to have to see exactly what happened to him. I think he was coming out of the pits and just stepped on it and just broke loose on him there. And
Yeah.
he gets into the pit wall.
Yeah, that right front's gonna have a lot of damage on it, unfortunately, but he could easily get that repaired. iRacing gives out free fast repairs for the wings. Just the wings only, because they're replaceable in real life, but Diogo's gonna have to head himself back on a pit road to get that situated, but yeah.
I did not know that you could do a fast repair for just a certain part of the car. It's something that I've learned today.
Yeah, it's interesting.
useful.
Some of these drivers don't know that if you damage the wings of the machine, you could easily just do a quick stop. It doesn't use a fast repair. It automatically does it for you, so. As second place of Gabe Allen will scoot himself back onto pit road, and I mentioned it earlier, Diogo's scooting himself back on in to get his wing repaired. Yeah, it should automatically just repair his wing, because he didn't hit that wall a ton.
I mean, it was barely, if anything.
Yeah.
Contact to the wall there, but man, look at some of these guys that have entered the top 10 after this attrition right here. Justin Johnson, 6th. Peter Kenny, 7th. Matthew Klein, 8th. Diogo Moscato, 10th, even though he's in the pits. I'm not sure if he'll be dropping further back, as the rest of the guys behind him have also hit as well. But, man, we're going to have some different faces up here in the top 5 right now.
Yeah, with this attrition, it really allows the drivers who were laying back and really got through X to kind of gain on this and really take an advantage and gain some positions off of that as well. You see Eli O'Quinn in the race lead. He didn't take pit road, so interesting call by that 17 and not take tires or fuel down the stretch. And you see Brody Garner, Joe Berge, Mitch Hobbs, Garrett Hess through the top 5.
we'll see how these guys are going to race up front. Will they be aggressive and go for the race lead, or are they just going to ride around and say, we're playing to make it to the end. We're not playing to, you know, put on a show up front. We'll have to see what their mentalities are on this. So we'll be working through 3 and 4 right here, and Eli O'Quinn will be leading us back to the green flag seat.
Yeah, and barely ever get to see a different driver lead it, especially in the IndyCar series when there's only 3 or 2 dominant drivers or prolific drivers here on this series. Brody Gardner being one of them. He's going to be starting in 2nd place. It's just a matter how he's going to get around that number 17 and pull away. But here we go. The pace car is going to scoot itself onto pit road. And we'll go back green as we're coming close to that 1/4 mark of tonight's race. Pace car is sort of delaying to hit himself on a pit road. There he goes, and we will go back racing here at the Indy Motor Speedway.
A little slow start there. Green flag. He brought him to the green really slowly, but he has taken off and has a nice gap ahead of Brody Gardner. But with that draft, it's gonna be no time before these guys reel him back in.
Yeah, the draft really plays a factor, and it really bunches these guys up. I've seen with the past couple of restarts. Joe Berge now into the top 3. You're looking at a couple of drivers in this pack. Derek M. Smith, who now has a little bit of work cut out for him ever since being in that top 3. Lost a couple positions. Now, here comes Dominic Howe to the bottom of the racetrack under what looks to be Garrett Hess, I think. The battle for the race lead is on between Brody Gardner and Eli O'Quinn, but here comes Joe Berge off turn 4.
Yeah, how about that? The number 83 of Joe Berge going to move himself into the top 3, but filling that gap will be the 89 of Mitch Hobbs. 2x2 action up front. We'll see how that 5th car of Garrett Hess will play a factor coming into these next few laps.
Man, Mitch, I think, just bought the IR-18, so it's crazy how well he's adapted so far. As he slots into the 3rd position right now, we'll see with the draft here who's going to make a move down back straightaway. And this draft really strong in these IndyCars.
Yeah, they're very strong. You saw how that worked with the 55 now to the inside. He'll take the race lead easily. No fight on the outside there. And now it looks like the 17 will be under pressure from the 89 of Mitch Hobbs. We haven't seen him up front throughout the early portion of this race. Of course, got through the wrecks and the attrition. He's now into the top 3 with Garrett Hess following behind. Joe Berge behind them as well. They got a crash on pit road. I'm not sure who that might have been.
It's Peter Kenny.
Yeah.
And he's blinking. Yellow. No caution for that as he was the only car around. And now the caution's out.
This is for a separate incident, and this is Gabe Allen in the 04 who's involved in this. This is coming into turn number 1. I don't think he really hit anything.
Doesn't
see
look
what
like
happened.
heavy damage.
Yeah.
Looks to be just fine here. We'll see what happened. He's sort of slow. Oh man, Peter Kenny just spun out of nowhere right there and has slammed the inside wall. But gonna see what happened to Gabe Allen right here. Looks like Peter got the apron.
Yeah,
there.
same thing with Cole Woody. He tried to correct it, but unfortunately noses into the inside wall. I'm sure that's repairable. They'll put back another wing on that, but you're coming into 1. Oh, that's Diogo Moscato.
Yep, Diogo gets right in the back of Gabe Allen, spins him around, and I'm not sure exactly what the extent of the damage is on Gabe Allen's front end. Looks like they may be replacing that wing right now in the pit lane.
No, looks like he just towed it.
Oh man, well, either way, tough break for Gabe Allen, who I think at the time was running up in that top 10. So these guys catching some tough breaks here in the mid portion of the field. But I mean, look at the attrition already. There's only 14 guys left on the track, and Christopher Wilde is one of those guys. So I am thinking that he might have throughput there, and that's why he is a lap down.
Yeah, Diogo Moscato had that wing damage earlier, like we mentioned, went down pit road to get that fixed. Now he's got to do it again. But the thing I'm concerned about is with his contact with Gabe Allen after spinning him and after making the contact with the front of his car, there might be some suspension damage on that 94. Not sure whether that's something to look out for. But anyway, he still has the wing damage to that right front right there. You see the damage. No wing plate there on the 94, so he's going to have to dip down pit road, get that repaired once again. But we were looking at an intense battle for the race lead, and Eli Quinn looks to be going down pit road along with Mitch Hobbs, Brody Gardner. Looks like a bunch of people in the field, and Dominic Howe stays out.
And a couple other guys have decided to fake out and stay on the racetrack, get some track position. I think Christopher wanted all those guys to pit so he could maybe get a wave around there, but for right now he'll be stuck behind those guys. But Man, a lot of guys in right now. Maybe just topping off on gas right here.
Up and they scoot themselves down as, of course, 4 tires on this machine go back out. And the first one off of pit road looks like Brody will win it over the 17 of Eli O'Quinn, the difference being 0.35 versus 0.73 by Eli, but less time spent on pit road for Eli, unfortunately, didn't cut the difference.
So it looks like Derek M. Smith leads, Dominic Howes second, and Matthew Klein third. Those are the guys that did not pit. So it looks like they'll be restarting 1, 2, 3. Brody Garner came out of the pits first. He's going to be 4th overall on the racetrack, and Eli O'Quinn rounds out the top 5. Then it's Mitch Hobbs, Garrett Hess, Justin L. Johnson, Joe Berge, and William Schmidt, the top 10. And then the rest of the field is Diego Moscato, Christopher Weil, and then those 2 guys that wrecked. So, man, I'm not sure if Gabe Allen has decided to call it quits right now, but 13 drivers currently on the lead lap.
It's another oval attrition race, exactly like what we saw at Pocono, where a bunch of drivers were taken out early in the race, and then over the course of the run, we saw maybe just a handful of drivers that were just a couple laps down rather than just getting out of the session. They kind of gained those laps back over the course of the yellows and early yellows, and then you have the attrition. You see a bunch of guys lap down, and then you leave with all the drivers left. And we haven't seen the drama that we saw at Pocono, where Hunter Johnson the race leader went into the wall. We haven't seen something like that happen just yet. But man, this attrition is playing a huge factor in these IndyCar oval races. It did it at Pocono. It's doing it here in Indianapolis, and frankly, I'm not surprised.
And the possibility of a first-time winner is really high right now. Do you see all these names up here that have not won? Eli O'Quinn, Mitch Hobbs, Joe Berge, Justin Johnson, Diego Moscato. None of these guys have ever won an iSCAR race. It would be their first win if they were able to get it tonight, and some of them have shown very, very good speed. So we'll have to see that paired with the attrition here tonight, if any of them can pull out a first win right here in the Indy 250 and pick up some extra prize money.
But not only that, they're going to have to work themselves through the kings of iSCAR. Derek M. Smith, Cup Series champion, multiple wins on his back. Dominic Howe, I think he was a Street Stock Series winner, won multiple times here in iSCAR. He's in second place. Brody Garner just came off the IMSA championship, stuff like that. Mitch Hobbs, he too, of course, looking for his first win, but he's a champion in this series on the Super Speedway side. This is his type of racing. Here he is, sitting in 5th place. So currently 12 cars on the lead lap as of right now. You see the teammates Diogo and Matthew Klein trailing this one, and Peter Kenny's wing does get repaired. Here we go. iSCAR will scoot itself onto pit road to set off the green on lap number 29 out of 100. And the leader of that 66 is Derek M. Smith. Will hold back the restart. We're back green here at Indy. Scramble into 1 and 2. Looks like a top 4 pull away as Mitch Hobbs is trailing at least 10 car lengths behind this front pack. Speaking of this front pack, they're starting to scramble around. 3 wide all the way to the grass goes Eli as he wants to get himself into the front.
Man, he's been aggressive tonight, but those guys that are looking for their first win ought to be extra aggressive as he almost pushes up right into the 58 there. But we're side by side for the first 2 rows up front. And the rest of these guys, 5th through 8th, have now caught up as well. So make that an 8 card.
Oh my gosh!
Garrett Hess moves to the inside. He moves one of those guys up the racetrack that Eli O'Quinn and he just got into. But Garrett Hess is now battling for the 2nd position after that crazy move down the front straightaway.
Boy, Eli O'Quinn had to work with the space around him, and that was almost none when it came down to the front straightaway. But here is the race lead. Derek M. Smith took it over Brody Garner. Now here comes Dominic Howe to the high side. Garrett Hess into the top 3 as well. Now he's under pressure from Eli O'Quinn once again. But oh boy, as the draft starts to pick up these drivers and as they start to stick together, boy, it has made an effect on the space on the racetrack, and it can go from wide open to practically none when there's cars all around you. 3 wide down the front straightaway.
3 wide, and up on the high side goes, I think that's the number 58 of Dominic Cow. You see a scramble right there into turn number 1. All these drivers trying to wrestle up for real estate as Derek M. Smith works himself to the front. You have Dominic Cow in second place. Eli O'Quinn, who made that aggressive move, in third place. Gonna go side by side yet again. To the low side goes Eli. He's on the apron.
Yeah, he got forced down there and he gets back up just fine, but we're still 3 wide down the back straightaway. Man, this is just some intense racing right now. It looks like Dominic Cow is going to be able to get clear from the middle lane, and he will be able to take the lead here on that number 31. Make that Eli O'Quinn in the second spot, and Brody Garner's moved back up in the third, Kenneth.
If there's anything that I've seen here at Indy is that when you have the lead, you're immediately a target spot for all the other drivers. 3 wide once again with Brody Garner to the bottom of the racetrack. He takes the race lead over Eli O'Quinn. And now these drivers on the inside line, they're going to work themselves together, forming that line together. You see Justin Johnson moving into the picture. He's now into 4th, trying to make a move on Eli O'Quinn. But here they come down the back straightaway. Christopher Waugh makes a wild move down the back.
And they're 2 by 2 yet again up front. Up on the high side is Dominic Cow. He wants to pinch down the 55 of Gardner to stall his momentum. But as soon as that happens, here comes a 17 with a huge run to the inside. He'll pull it down to the low side of that the 58. And they're side by side yet again through the middle because Derek always thought better of it. He's going to stay in line.
Man, Derek is trying to claw his way back up to the lead right now, but he's got a couple guys to go through right now, including Eli O'Quinn and Dominic Cow, who have not won or haven't won in a long time. And these guys would surely like to pick up a win as we head down the back straightaway. Here comes Derek Smith.
3 wide once again. Derek M. Smith has to pull out. He can't make the move on the 3 wide situation there. Dominic Cow now to the...
Oh!
He gets loose on the rumble strip, and around he goes up the racetrack under the apron. So no yellow, and now the yellow comes out.
Oh, man. I thought that was going to be no caution, but he did spin back onto the racetrack, and that has triggered the caution for my racing. And we're going to be back under the pace for a little while now. But, man, that could have been a lot worse. He gets that apron area and just spins out. Thankfully doesn't take anybody else out, loops it. Unfortunately, that does trigger the caution.
He did get a bit of left front damage right there. The left front jacked up from the ground as he now worked himself on the racetrack and acting like nothing happened. So it's a lucky break for Dominic Cow. Unfortunately, he'll have to hit pit road with that wing damage, but gives a bit of a breather to all these other drivers yet again because, oh man, that top 10 were racing like it was no tomorrow. I expect more drivers to get taken out before halfway.
That was the craziest run we've had since the first lap. Whew, man, I'm surprised that was not a bigger crash, but for the sake of this race, I'm very happy as well that it wasn't a bigger crash. So, Brody Garner leads. We'll see if these guys are going to pit this time for tires and top off on gas. But man, we haven't seen that long run that we wanted to see so far.
And the most shocking thing is that there's still 65 laps remaining. There's still a long way to go in this race. And these drivers are racing like it's the white flag every single time around. And when you take first place, you're not guaranteed it going into the next turn, because when that draft kicks in, you see the rest of the field start to squander behind the race leader, and they try to make bonsai moves. We've seen the 3 wides. We've seen the outside being worked. We see that draft really playing a factor as we got one driver staying out. The rest of them down pit road. Brody Garner leads the rest of the field.
Yeah, the one who stayed out was the 89 of Mitch Hobbs. Curious on how he's going to handle it up front in that clean air, but everybody else deciding otherwise. They're going to come down pit road and slap on four fresh tires on it. Up in the way they will go. And oh boy. Yeah, looks like Brody will easily win that race off of pit road. Eli O'Quinn in second place and Derek M. Smith in third. Not going to be like that in the standings, as of course Mitch Hobbs stayed himself out on the racetrack. But man, you mentioned it. How that... it seems as though, as we progress on with this race, these drivers are starting to get a handle of what it feels like in this draft, and it's allowing a lot of drivers to make some more aggressive moves and be have a little bit of give and take and such up there, especially toward the front.
Yeah, these drivers are getting a little more comfortable with the cars under them, but as you can see, as you saw with the 58 of Dominic Howe, it's still not completely 100% safe. You can still upset the car in any sort of manner, and that can easily send you around. And I'm surprised that the 58 did not end up shooting back up the racetrack. I thought no caution was going to be diagnosed there from iRacing, but it seems as though as soon as he got back on the track, going that slow pace with the damage, they decided to take that yellow. But Mitch Hobbs staying out on the racetrack. We saw this with Eli O'Quinn a little bit earlier, not too long ago. He stayed out. He fared out just fine. You know, the tires don't play too much of a factor. They kind of do, in a way, when it comes down to going all the way down to the curbing and, you know, trying to keep the car all the way down there. Understeer is a really big factor, and now you see Mitch Hobbs go down pit road, so he's gonna reset, get those 4 fresh Firestones and fuel. And so that'll give the lead straight to Brody Garner, who has been fighting for this lead the entire race. But just like I said, if you're in first place, you're definitely not safe. You're going to have everybody charging behind you.
Yeah, with this draft being as strong as it is, I do agree with you there. You don't want to be leading on the white flag unless you have like a big old 5-second lead. If we're all in a pack together, maybe off a late restart or something there, ooh boy, you're going to need to be putting yourself in position to make a move for the win. Obviously, you can still keep the lead, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah, no doubt about it, but I think it'll come down to how, I think it'll come down to who's going to be left and who's going to be up front. I mean, who's going to be in second place at the time the white flag waves. That's if we finish under green flag conditions, because again, no green white checkers, as I said earlier in the broadcast. But for people like Brody Garner, Eli O'Quinn, Derek M. Smith, it wouldn't hurt to lead a lap, because it'll boost you in standings as well. +5 bonus points for leading a lap here tonight. Also a +5 for leading most laps as well.
I wouldn't say just top 2 in that final lap, because we've seen the drivers from third on back make 3 wide moves for the race lead.
True.
So it's not out of the question if you're a guy like Derek M. Smith, or you're in 3rd place, 4th place, maybe even 5th, if the guys up front start to tangle. And we've seen the drivers tangling already. We saw the first handful of yellows. That's a product of what we've seen. As now the pace car will loom down pit road. Brody Garner will lead the field. 37 laps under the books. We still got a long way to go. He's going to match on the throttle. Here we go. Back green to Indianapolis.
Green.
Garner, O'Quinn, Smith, your top 3.
Flag as they head into 1, and all these drivers sort of fanning out for a bit of real estate as soon as they hit the backstretch. I'm pretty sure all that gap that's left between these drivers will close in, but as of right now, Brody Garner is leading looks like a 2-car length lead as he's going low to pick up one of those drivers who just came off a pit road draft. It's actually going to cause a bit of a bottle up, and they're going to lap around him on the high side. So watch out, drivers, as this don't know who that's being lapped. He's trying to get left behind the low side. I think is it Mitch?
I'm not sure. I mean, I saw the Valvoline colors. I saw Valvoline colors. I thought that was him. Well, either way, down the front straightaway, Brody Garner continues to lead. Christopher Weil, who was a lap down earlier from throughput and out of the server, is right back up in this thing. He makes a move around the outside, trying to take the race lead.
When I said it wasn't over till it's over, I really meant it, because now Christopher Weil, who was down with the disconnection issue, now fighting for the race lead, and here comes a 3-wide move. Derek M. Smith to the bottom. He's going to put Brody Garner to the middle. And now Eli O'Quinn, a huge checkup with Justin Johnson back there. Luckily, no contact between the two. And here comes Brody Garner back to the inside for second. Give that lead to Derek Smith off turn 4.
Yep, and they're going to restack it up. And back to the low side goes the 55 of Garner. Looks like Will will work with him, but will he make it 3 wide into 1? Looks like not. I don't think he has the run, but he'll give the run to the 17 of Eli, who will fill up the high side of the 41. But they go right up off the corner of that number 55, Brody Garner. Will clear the 41 up unless the high side is kicking into effect. All the way to the high side goes, I think it's the 17. No, it's not the 17. Derek M. Smith in the 66. Don't know what I'm saying, but Derek nearly regained the lead off of 2.
Man, here comes Joe Berge up into the top 5 right now, but Christopher Weil is one of those guys that I think is really patient with how he makes his moves as he goes to the inside from the lead right here. He'll make the pass down the front straightaway, but you saw him not take it 3 wide in those last couple laps. That's the kind of driver he is. He waits patiently for the right opportunity to make a move rather than forcing that move. And here he is now up in the front after making the move that he had been planning out for a couple laps. But here comes Eli O'Quinn, also trying to battle for the 3rd position right now. These guys all together right now, this entire group, heading down the back straightaway right now, and all bunched up together. I don't think it's very long before we see another incident.
Yeah, Christopher, for a while, you saw him move all the way to the bottom on the straightaways instead of pushing back high, because he knows the drivers up behind him are going to get the draft and try to make the pass. And now it's still working with Derek M. Smith to the high side, but it's a little bit more of a challenge when you have to make the move on the high side, because you have to really pinch the driver on the inside down a little more in order to get the ground and get the advantage. As you see now, Derek M. Smith falls to the clutches of Brody Garner, so now he's going to be under pressure there. They're going to work down the back straightaway off turn 2, off the short chute. Draft still works for Derek M. Smith behind the 41. They're going to be side by side once again down the back.
So what you can't do in these cars have no fenders. You can't push, obviously, but what you can do to the car in front of you is give him what we call an aero push. It's the air that these cars create. They create a lot of pack. One car just goes around in the background. Not sure who that is. That's Mitch Hobbs in the 89, and they'll not throw a caution as he's now missing a front wing. But if you get right behind a car enough, in which you also both have a run, you could push the car without even touching him. It's what we call aero push, as I said, and it benefits both of you guys. Both of those cars who are within that range of that aero push. You see, we'll see a bit of effect. You see the 17 of Eli O'Quinn go to the backside of that number 66. Kept him in 2nd place right there.
Yeah, I call it a slipstream. These guys just get right behind each other. They give each other the slipstream. It's a common term used by the guys that do the actual IndyCar broadcast. But here we go down the front straightaway. Derek M. Smith trying to make a move for the race lead under Christopher Weil.
Oh my goodness.
A slipstream right there, and here comes Eli O'Quinn back under Brody Garner for the 3rd spot. And Joe Berge's hanging around in 5th right now. With Justin Johnson, looked like he moves to the outside trying to take 5th, but he gets a little wide off the corner.
Yeah, and that's one of the lapped cars. And one of the good things about here at Indy, especially with the drafts, is that even if you're a lapped car and go in the middle of this main pack, you don't really necessarily fall out unless your car is heavily damaged and your car is really affected at speed. You see a driver down there. I think that's Mitch Hobbs under the pit road, the pit lane exiting. So down there in turn 3 and 4, so he's going to move out of the way. But when you're a lap car, you still have the draft with the guys in front of you in this main pack, so it's not quite over for you yet. Of course, you can still hang with the guys in front of you, and if you're a guy just, let's say, 1 lap down, maybe 2 laps down, you can make a move and try to plan your unlapping, as I should say, when it comes down to that. But here comes a fight for the race lead once again. It continues to trade off like we saw at Pocono with the draft. Brody Garner back to the back, to the bottom side of the racetrack, as I should say, with Christopher Weil right behind him.
Now they're going to go side by side for 2nd place. It's just a matter of how Brody's going to pick his line on the straightaways to benefit that 2nd car in line, and it looks like Brody is going to go to the high side. Now he drops back low, and that'll pull Christopher Weil to 2nd place, but it opens up the door to the high side. He wants the gun for the lead, and then yet again, the 66, Derek M. Smith, trapped in 3rd. He doesn't know who or how to help them get himself back into the lead, but it's just I guess these drivers are playing a sort of a waiting game right now on how they want to take their moves. A lot of give and take for these first 50 laps, I'd say.
Yeah, this is by far the cleanest run we've seen right now. These guys have, not been making those wild moves that we saw earlier, and it's showing now as we're single file for the most part. Some guys making a few moves down the front straightaway, a little bit of blocking as well. And now we're 3 wide. Christopher will back out of that, and here comes Derek M. Smith to the inside for the race lead. A car nearly gets in the wall, but they all will file back in the line. They'll save it, and we go through 1 and 2 right now. Derek Smith is taking the race lead.
I think with this attrition, these drivers, it really gets to them. And at that point, when you have a bunch of drivers getting out due to wrecks with aggressive moves, you start to think to yourself, hey, maybe I shouldn't be making this. Maybe I should back out of this a little more. Maybe I shouldn't push up to this guy as much as I did earlier, because then now you risk yourself getting out of this race. And with this race dwindling in terms of the driver count and this attrition, you have to really think about and take into consideration, because if you're a guy like Christopher Weil, Brody Garner, you have to really get that shot up in the points lead. Derek M. Smith, you want to keep your points lead. So you can't really think about making those wild moves until, let's say, probably the end of the race when you have nothing to lose, or if you're in a good spot to make a challenge for the race lead and you really have no other shot until that last lap. So I think these drivers are getting a little more comfortable with each other now that they've been in the draft, they've made those passes, they've kind of seen the drivers around them. As you see 3 wide action with Joe Berge, that was Eli O'Quinn, Justin Johnson. They seem to back out of that out of turn 3. But yeah, these drivers are getting a little more comfortable and they're trying to analyze their moves just a little bit more thinking than doing.
Yeah, definitely. We're yet to cross halfway, but the action is still on. 3 wide for 3rd place, and up against that safer barrier is gonna be all the way to 3rd place. I think it's Eli. No, it's not Eli. It looks like it's Christopher Wow. No, it's actually a lap car of Mitch Hobbs in that 89. One car hits the apron. That's Eli. He gets all the way to the apron and out of harm's way. Not really sure what happened there, but yeah, the 89 is sort of playing a factor into this. He has fresher tires than this rest of the field, so it's going to cause a bit of a bottleneck between these lead lap cars versus Mitch Hobbs as of right now. But off of turn number 4, all these drivers just keeping it nice and steady to work yet again to the front straightaway.
He might be trying to slipstream with some guys that he's been working with all season, guys like Brody Garner, not just in IndyCar, but
that's actually Nick Miller, not Mitch Hobbs.
Okay, so 2 valve line cars on the racetrack. Looks like Zeke got those confused there, but he is many laps down. I think he had to go do something personal there and came in the race late, but good to see him on the racetrack, and he'll be gaining a lot of spots before this is over. He's already up to 20th, and he can gain, looks like up to 14th maybe even more if he's able to keep himself out of trouble here.
Yeah, and he's preventing himself from getting even more laps down. Again, you mentioned if he's not in trouble, he don't worry about getting those laps back down, stacked up on him, and then he has to regain those positions and work back again. So since he's in this draft, he has that ability to stay with this front pack, keep where he's at, and really gain on the drivers who have already been taken out of this race. You see more battling continuing on between Dominic Howe, Derek Smith, Brody Garner. Now Joe Berge looking into the picture, of course, with the lap car of Nick Miller behind him. He might make a move down to the bottom.
Yeah, it opened up the 9 of Nick Miller to go ahead and sneak himself at the bottom, but he's causing a bit of a bottleneck to all these lead lap drivers. Miller has fresher tires, but all these people have older tires, in which, when you have older tires at Indianapolis, your car starts to push. You could use the weight jacker to your advantage, in which it lifts one of the car parts up in the, it adjusts one of the car parts in the air. They're 3 wide for the lead. Through the middle goes the 58 of Dominic Howe, but as I mentioned about with the car jacker, or one of the settings, I think it's called a car jacker or something like that. Weight jacker, not car jacker. It's called the weight jacker.
There's no car jacking.
Yeah, there's no car jacking going on. You shove something into the.
We're not stealing cars, folks. On the.
Yeah. Oh my God!
He almost crashed up front. Dominic Howe is able to save it after a little bit of netcode contact right there. Nick Miller goes to the inside, several laps down right now, just trying to gain as much positions as possible towards the end of this thing. But down the front straightaway, Brody Garner is going to lead this lap.
Yeah, going back to what I said, the weight jacker, it affects the car, in which on a longer run you could put it up a couple of notches to help the car center through the corner. You have to reset it back to 0 once you do slap back 4 tires yet again, but it helps the car through the center of the corner. Matthew Klein could explain it even more in depth, as 3 wide again. Nick Miller wants himself to the front. No, he's going to back out of it and not cause a jam up. He's going to turn Berge doing it though.
And Berge goes careening and flying in the air. And he's going to go right to the inside of the racetrack. The caution comes out after Nick Miller gets into Joe Berge and sends him just flying across the racetrack, and his night is most likely over because of it. The front end and the back end have both been ripped from the car after a wild crash in turn number 3. Oh, you gotta feel bad for him. And looks like Nick Miller maybe stopped at the inside as well, saying, "Oh my gosh, what did I just do?"
Yeah, Nick Miller, we mentioned if he stayed out of trouble, that would have been a good spot. A good opportunity for him to gain the positions on the guys who got taken out. 17th right now with his car heavily damaged. He's probably not going to gain any more off of that because it's going to be tough to repair that race car. And he took out a lead lap car in the process. Joe Berge goes flying. Yeah, also some damage on the front wing of the 41. And we'll see a little in-depth about what happened in turn 3. There's the contact up into the wall, up in the air, flipping all over the place. And then more contact. There's a crash in front of them.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's even more. That's Matthew Klein Another
Justin
car,
Johnson?
Justin Johnson.
Ah, hate to see it for Justin. He was having such a good run. Man, what has caused this secondary incident? Looks like... Oh! Gets
It
that
was
apron
Miller.
and slides. Gets Klein, and then the other guys spin trying
That's
to
the
avoid.
4.
Justin Johnson was one of them.
I think Garrett Hess might be there as well.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm
And that
wrong.
was Diogo Moscata, not Matthew Klein.
Well, either way, one of the AK racing cars is all torn up because of that. But the other two guys, Justin Johnson here at Hess, those guys were a separate incident, just trying to avoid all the carnage in front. But man, that just throws another wrench into things after a lap car doesn't make the best decision there, and he ends up taking out a few guys on the racetrack. Boy.
That sucks.
Oh, we had a fight in the Xfinity race. Did you guys see that?
No.
Gregson.
Yeah, I heard
got
Gregson
it.
and Burton.
Gregson just got his tail kicked, but oh boy. Well, these guys come out of the pits right now after getting service. Some of our leaders came into pit, including Derek Smith. He's out of the pits already, and then you see a lot of cars now in for damage repair after another big one here tonight at Indianapolis.
Hands the lead to the number 11 of Matthew Klein, who
Wow.
actually stayed himself out, but... Yeah, Klein stayed himself out. He's just leading a lap and such, but... Ooh.
You might think I'm crazy, but I think he has a legit chance to win today's race.
Oh, no
I
doubt
think
about
he's
it. We, like, took another 4 or 5 cars out with that wreck. It'll only leave, I think, 8 or 9 competitive... No, actually... Yeah, 8 competitive cars up here in this main pack. They all duke it out.
Peter Kenny, he was in the inside wall earlier crashing. He's in the 3rd spot right now, so even after wrecking a couple times, these guys have been able to recover nicely. One of them leading the race, Matthew Klein was involved in an incident earlier, very early in the race, and of course Peter Kenny, we saw him spin down the front straightaway, hit the inside wall, and got that damage repaired. He's up in the 3rd now, but even if you do wreck, we've seen Derek Smith as well. He was involved in that 2nd lap crash, and he's recovered up into the 2nd spot and's been battling for the lead all day. So even if you do end up getting in a wreck, as long as your engine doesn't blow, I mean, you can still be up here fighting for the lead here. So looks like we've taken the one to go, and it looks like Klein is committing to restarting in the lead here. So
Oh, man.
this is going to be his strategy right here, and if we get a long run, he's going to be a little offset on fuel. But going with the trends of this race, I don't know if we will get a long run, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's true. And a bunch of drivers getting damaged, a bunch of drivers being involved in incidents. It hasn't really allowed for a longer run with strategy being implemented. I thought we were going to see a lot more drivers by this point of the race. We're just over halfway, still a long way to go, just about, I believe, 45 laps left in this event, and that's the only peak of what we had at a long green flag run. But the drivers faring in the draft, and Matthew Klein, Peter Kenny, those drivers got into trouble earlier. Now they're up into the top 3, so they have a good opportunity to get back into this thing, as well as, you know, obviously William Schmidt into 7th. Of course, you've had the guys battling for the race lead: Christopher Weil, Derek M. Smith in the middle of the top 3, Eli O'Quinn, Brody Garner, Dominic Howe, and then the 94 of Diogo Moscato, currently in 9th, the fellow teammate of the 11th. So, I mean, it's not over, but still a long way to go. Still a lot to decide. Matthew Klein is going to have a rough time with the drivers behind because the draft has not been forgiving to the driver up front.
All right, here we go yet again as Matthew Klein in the number 11 is going to lead the field to the restart. And here we go from Indianapolis, the number 11 of Klein. It's been a while since we've seen him in the lead, but here he goes. He'll mash the throttle, and up and away he'll go. He'll also drag the 66 of Derek M. Smith with him, but Peter Kenny, the 62, does not get a good restart. He's also blinking in and out as well. It's not going to play well for him in the draft, as Klein will attempt to fend off to the lower side of the racetrack, but Derek is not letting go of Klein.
They work down the back straightaway right now. Klein goes really low on the racetrack, just trying to stay away from Derek here, but Derek will make that pass on the outside. The new leader, Derek Smith, is ahead in the race.
Yeah, there they go, and it seems more separation between the two and the rest of the pack behind us. Just as I say that now, Chris and Brody Garner are starting to catch up to these guys. Here might be the pass for second place. There it is to the outside, and they easily take it. That'll be for second and third as Brody Garner tries to get second into turn 1.
Well, they work into turn number 1 as Matthew Klein has really dropped out. He's really off pace suddenly as that top 3 now start to pull away. Derek M. Smith, Christopher Weil, and Brody Gardner, the three kings of the IndyCar, are now leading it here at Indy. But we'll see how the 17, the 79, and the 58 will spoil this as we progress with coming, I think, nearly to 40 to go.
Man, William Schmidt has not been anywhere all race, but here he is now in the top 5. He's probably going to be battling up for the lead here soon, but another guy we can't count out is Eli O'Quinn. He's been leading some laps early in the race and run strong all night, probably his best showing ever in iSCAR, but also bringing Dominic Howe and Peter Kenny up into this battle as well. It looks like this is a 7-person race right now as, man, the rest of these guys that were involved in that crash, like Diogo, Garrett, and the rest of them involved, look to be out of the race now. So we've only got 8 cars on the lead lap, and I think only like 8 cars left in the race. I'm pretty sure all those lappers are not even in the race anymore. So, man, we talked about attrition earlier in the broadcast, and it's already hit right now. We've only got 8 drivers left.
Yeah, it is, and here's another move to the bottom for the race lead. Once again, that was Christopher Weil, now backs out of that with William Schmidt peeking into this top 3, and he hasn't really been in the best place all race. He had to avoid a couple of incidents to do so, but it's kind of paying off for him right now as we work to the crunch time part of this race, and now into the top 5. So he has a good look at what these guys can do, what these guys are planning to do, and especially going behind them with Dominic Howe and Eli O'Quinn, who have been fighting for the spots all race. He can really have a good shot at analyzing what these guys are doing and really plan something out of this. But right now, Brody Garner, Derek Smith, Christopher Weil, those are the strongest right now as he goes into P3, William Schmidt.
Yeah, just because there's only 8 cars left on the racetrack doesn't mean doesn't mean that'll dwindle the action. We still have a lot of action up front as William Schmidt scoots himself into the top 3. Side by side yet again up front. It's Brody Garner and Derek M. Smith in the 66, but William hasn't been a factor inside this lead until now, so we'll have to see on how that number 79 and William Schmidt will fare up to these top 3.
Yeah, he's got the speed to do it. I can tell you that much. So if he's there at the end of the race, I think he'll be a strong player in this. Same with Eli O'Quinn and Dominic Howe. Those guys have been fast all race long. We've seen Eli lead some laps. So, I mean, these top 6, top 7, even Peter Kenny's hanging on to that draft as well. These guys are going to be the guys that are going to end up fighting it for themselves here.
But they got to play the fuel strategy right as well. I'm not really sure on what the fuel is going to be. I think it's going to be around every 30-ish laps, in which we'll encounter that mark in about 20 or so laps. So I guess this run will be the difference. I mean, they'll split the difference with this run. Maybe pit halfway, and then make themselves back. Pit halfway of this run, which is going to be around 20 to go. They'll make it all the way to the end, but that's unless we get a caution.
Yeah, I think with this low car count, I don't think we'll have anyone significant that'll cause a yellow so far, but still, the action up front still can produce that yellow and produce some contact. You see William Schmidt all the way up to the racetrack. He's going to get charged by Dominic Howe, Christopher Weil, and Eli O'Quinn. Those guys working with the draft down the back straightaway, but you mentioned, Zeke, the guys up in this pack, they have to start thinking about the fuel strategy. They have to start thinking that if this goes green, which it might do so, these guys have to really figure out when they will come down pit road, what they will take, how they will take it, and really how the exit will work, faring with the rest of the field. And of course, if we have another yellow, it's going to be easy for the drivers to just go down pit road altogether, take all that, be on a level playing field. But now, if we stay green, this is the matter between winning and losing on this field strategy.
Yeah, I'm hoping we do end up having a green flag pit stop. That would really be fitting into the race. Of course, we only have 8 guys left even on the racetrack, so this is the perfect opportunity for these guys to get a long run in and maybe make a fuel stop before this is over. they definitely do have to pit one more time. There's no way they can make it on gas from here on out. So we'll see when those guys decide to make their pit stops. Maybe some guys will decide, hey, as soon as this fuel window opens, we're going to be in. But I think other guys may split it up the middle. There's just a lot of different strategies these guys could pick as they work through 1 and 2 right now. Still side by side, Derek Smith, Brody Garner have probably been the 2 strongest drivers all day. And here they are up at the front again, battling.
Back to the outside goes the number 55. Oh, Brody Garner. He's easily... Nope, never mind. I was about to say he's easily going to retake the lead, but the run stalls out because he's on the high side. For a while, we'll go ahead and just slap up an arrow push to the 55. Oh, going to take it 3 wide to the bottom side of the racetrack. We'll see where the 58 of Dominic Cow is going to go as you now slide back 2 by 2. Through the middle goes Eli O'Quinn.
Great move there.
Yeah.
Now Eli O'Quinn, who was leading a good portion of this race, now he's into 3rd. Brody Garner falls back to 4th with Dominic Howe and William Schmidt, who fell back within the last couple laps. It seems as though he didn't want to be in the situation he was in with this top 3, so he decided to back out. He still got the draft, so he's still not out of the woods just yet. As you see, Christopher Weil still for the race lead with Derek M. Smith to the high side, Brody Garner. Well, those top 3 have been at it, just switching around the race lead like a toy, basically. As you see now, a battle for the race lead on the outside. Brody Garner, he'll lead that lap.
Have been trying to pinch down that number 41 Christopher Weil. Can't really do it. All those cars just lining up like the stars right up against that bumper, that 55. But they're going to fan out yet again to the low side because the 41 Christopher Weil. And oh my goodness, look how close Derek is right up to that tail wing as they head into turns number 3. And Derek had to really lift right there, nearly getting to the left rear of that number 55 of Brody Gardner. Again to the front straightaway. That time by, it's half a car length given to the 55 who led that lap. Man, out yet again. These cars starting to get tighter, and speaking of tighter, oh man, the 17 was trying to compensate for that. Clipped the grass just a bit, and look how much time he lost to this top 4 as William Schmidt sort of weaving in and around. Working to turns number 3. Oh man, it's just a matter when this pit stop's gonna happen. I just don't know how. I'm sure all these drivers will hit pit road at a separate time, but it's who's gonna hit pit road at the right time. As Matthew Klein has hit pit road. Fortunate for him, he goes 1 lap down, but he's the only car 1 lap down, so we do get a caution. Pull himself back to the lead lap because there is a free pass in effect.
Boy, still, this battle rages on, and even as this green flag run progresses, I don't see any of these drivers losing with each other when it comes to trying to take that race lead away. I think it's a little fun for these guys, swapping the lead over and over again and staying with this top 3, but like you mentioned, the car starts to get a little more understeer as the tires wear out, and you can't really go full throttle like you can when you have those fresh tires, so you have to lift a little bit, and you really have to strategize your throttle management going into the corner in each and every corner, because this track takes a lot on your tires. You're remaining high speed all the way down to the white line, all the way almost to the curb, and that really sets a wear to your tires. You see another battle for the race lead with Brody Garner to the outside, Dominic Howell, Eli O'Quinn getting very close. They almost had some contact there, but you mentioned it. The pit strategy is going to be the factor here when it comes to the end of this race if we don't have a yellow. But we're still approaching just about 30 laps to go. I'm curious to see the first driver that goes down, because that might be a bold move, and if it's the leader, that's going to be even crazier to think about.
Yeah, if the leader comes down pit road first, I mean, it's just a matter on who goes with him, so he could have a drafting partner to boost himself forward once everybody cycles. But it's just a matter of time before these people hit pit road, and I think he can make it from this point forward.
Looks like there's just only 6 cars up in this lead group now, as Peter Kenny's kind of fallen off of that now, but William Schmidt is also in danger of losing this group, so these guys really need to be on top of the drafting here so that they can get back up in this group right here, because if they all, are together and then pit together, they can end up working with each other to maybe put the gap on the rest of the field right here.
Yep, and yeah, 6 cars just lining up. This is Christopher Weil, Brody Gardner, Derek M. Smith, Eli O'Quinn, Dominic Cowell, William Schmidt. The only driver to yet pick up an iSCAR win in this draft is the number 17 of Eli O'Quinn. He's sitting in 5th place, has to pass 4 cars to get himself back to the front, but there's still 30-ish, now under 30 laps to go this time by. He could easily work himself back to the front, but he needs to play his cards right. Pass him at the right time.
Yeah, Dominic Howe made that move for 3rd place under Derek M. Smith. It seemed Derek M. Smith had to back out a little bit, almost making contact with, I think, Brody Garner into turn 3, and that allowed the 58 to get that move. So the 58 stealthily making his way into this top 3. He's been in this top 5, and of course, as the main pack started to cut short, he's still been there. He still had the draft, and he was still making those moves. Now he's to the outside behind Christopher Weil, now under challenge from the 66 back again, but he's made a good run into this top 5 now.
Oh, they nearly made contact right there, as I think not the 66, yeah, it was the 66 to Derek M. Smith, and 4-1 Christopher Weil. It does not disrupt their momentum, though. It sort of actually lurked out this number 79 of William Schmidt to back out of it, but oh my goodness, that cut it really, really close. Go down the back straightaway. Weil will send off the lead for now, as Brody wants to take a challenge to the high side. He'll now have some help with Dominic Cowell. They go nowhere with it.
They work down the front straightaway here. We'll see if either of these guys are going to try and maybe take it up the middle. And here we go. Derek Smith actually does make that move, so we'll see if he gets clear into 1. Does not look like he'll be clear into 1, so we'll be side by side for that lead right now. We'll see where Brody Garner's going to side on here with the slipstream. Down the back straightaway, where will he go? Looks like he'll go with Derek M. Smith, while Dominic Howe is going to try and go with Christopher Weil. We'll see if Brody's going to back out, and it looks like he does. So he's been doing some smart driving here, not being over-aggressive as he was earlier. So as he's going to try and get into the 2nd spot here, looks like Derek Smith may be able to clear him, and he does. So back to single file down the front straightaway, Zeke.
Yeah, but as soon as they went back down to single file, you saw some cars just pull out of line, maybe teasing for a run in the future laps. But you see the 66 to Derek M. Smith. He got a huge run as Brody got really tight, nearly doored the side of that number 58 of Dominic Cowell. They're still tight, and because they were locked side by side, it allows the 17 of Eli O'Quinn to get a run, and it also allowed this top 2 to scoot themselves away. But yeah, as this run progresses, you could definitely see this tire wear is starting to kick in, and now everybody's sort of boxed in with each other, not knowing where to go once they do attempt to pass. But that again just opens up. It might lure some drivers onto pit road because of that. And we're 25 laps to go this time by. I'm pretty sure they can make it from this point forward.
Yeah, longest run of the night by far as green flag runs go. So at least we were able to see a pretty good green flag run right here. It looks like we are coming up on a lap car here. Maybe Matthew Klein?
Miller.
It's Miller again. So he's just trying to make up as many positions as he possibly can at this point, even after that crash earlier. So Christopher continues to lead right here. I'm very interested to see when these guys are going to come in the pit lane because, of course, as I said earlier, these guys would not be able to make it on field from the time we had taken the green flag. So you see Derek M. Smith moves back to the inside, aggressively making these moves for the lead, and looks like he'll get it in turn 1.
Surprised some of these drivers are continuing to stay prominent on the high side as far as this run goes, and as the tires wear down. I'm surprising they're holding down, but as we've seen, now the drivers are starting to spread out just a little bit more. We don't see them as close as they were just like, let's say, 15 laps ago. Like you see, still battling between this top 3 as always, but they're not as close as I thought they would be. Now there seems to be a little more of a gap. You saw the top 2 spread out amongst the rest of the field a little bit.
Here they go.
Here comes drivers down pit road.
Couple guys fake in, including Christopher Weil and Eli O'Quinn. Oh, Brody Garner sideways in the pit lane, able to hang on to it, but looks like we've split it. 4 cars are in, and 3 cars have stayed on the racetrack. So We'll see exactly who's going to cycle out first. Of course, these guys pitting together, they may be able to, come out together and draft with each other, which is only going to help them because they go faster, of course, in the draft. So we'll see when these three are going to pit. I would think this time by, they'll be in the pit lane here. It's a matter of if they can get in safely or not. You can see they've kind of put a gap between each other, which would be the safe bet.
They don't.
Pit lane.
Wow.
Well, Quinn does. And
Oh,
Williams
man,
also come
Schmidt.
in.
Oh.
Not sure if he'll get an unsafe pit entry for that. I'm not sure if that commitment area is going to, signal that or not off of iRacing. So we'll see exactly what the call is there for the 79 machine. But him and Eli O'Quinn are now in the pit lane. We'll see if they're going to, come out together and draft together because, drafting with somebody is going to, be a benefit to you. But you can see Christopher Weil all by himself out here. He is only being hurt by this strategy. He needs to come in this time.
Yeah, definitely. And the only people to really stay together is this number 55 and the 66, Brody Gardner and Derek M. Smith, as Dominic Howe is sort of left out to dry. It looks like multiple car lengths behind this. These two drivers. You see some more drivers heading themselves right up off of pit road. That's William Schmidt and the number 17 of Eli O'Quinn. They'll be hooked up with Miller. So maybe this three-car pack can maybe catch Dominic Howe, which could make it a 4-car pack, which could catch Derek M. Smith and Brody Gardner. We'll have to see though. Because if these two drivers do battle it too much, it'll open up the door for that number 56, the Dominic Howe, and the 41, Christopher Weil, has still stayed himself out on the racetrack. And you see, oh no, William, looks like it was.
Yeah, unsafe pit entry for the 79. That's going to put him in a hole. But what I was going to mention, that 41 of Christopher Weil, I think what he's doing is trying to extend the gap as much as possible, keep it there for as long as he can. And then as soon as he drops down pit road, and then once he exits, he won't have as much work to do, and he might have a gap still in first place between himself and Derek Smith, Brody Gardner, Dominic Howe, among others, and of course Eli O'Quinn, and of course William Schmidt, who just got that penalty. Now he's a lap down. But I think the 41 is playing a strategy about keeping distance and pretty much trying to stay out for as long as he can while these guys start to battle, and they could use up their tires quick enough as they start to work around the draft and battle around each other. So as they do that, that could be better for the 41 as he'll have the fresher tires once he comes down pit road.
Man, what a tough break for William Schmidt.
He honestly, I don't think it. There he goes. He's now back.
I was concerned that he might maybe get a black flag for unsafe pit entry, and it ends up that he did. So he had to surf that, I think, 30-second hold. So
that's a crazy hold.
Totally unfortunate. Just for a late pit decision, which honestly I thought was the right move because he had slowed down way too much to the point where if he would stay on the racetrack, he would have lost that time regardless. So it just totally bad position for him to be in, and now it's cost him the lead lap. He's going to have to get lucky here and maybe catch a caution, maybe get the free pass. But this group right here is the group I'm looking at to maybe win this race.
Yup, man.
If they don't wreck each other.
That's right. Dominic to the low side. He'll try to get the best of Derek M. Smith in the 66. Can't make much off of it, but still up front is that number 41, Christopher Weil, who is yet to hit pit road. I think he's gambling for a fuel run. I'm not sure if he can make it 40 laps. The fuel is cut down to 75 laps. I mean, 75%, and yep, here he comes. Scoots himself onto pit road, hits that the pit button to limit the speed on the machine. Number 41, Christopher Weil. Unfortunately, he has no partner to really work to tango with. The tandem. I was about to say tandem draft.
Yeah, that's
the NASCAR term.
We saw an attempt at tandem drafting on lap 2, and you saw how that ended up. So we'll see where Christopher's going to come out in relation to these guys, because that's going to be determined whether if he's going to be up there battling for the win or not if there's no caution here. So we'll see where that 41 is going to be coming out right now. This group right here just flat on the throttle right now, just trying to...
There he is.
There he is. He's going to go in front of him. What?
Nice job,
How does that work?
It's exactly what I mentioned, keeping the distance over that run. And as those guys were working around the racetrack, Christopher Weil was staying out just in case, so that when he would hit pit road, he would still have a gap in front of these guys. Now, of course, he's under pressure, but he's on the fresher tires, so that's exactly his plan, and he's making it work right now.
Yeah, that's right. He's on fresher tires than these 3 other drivers, so he's going to maybe lay himself back for these next, I'd say, 10 or so laps. Maybe gun for that lead come to closing time. I also have to fill in an update on William Schmidt speeding in the pits and clipping the grass to result in an unsafe exit, so it didn't have to do anything with pit entrance as Christopher shoves himself to the high side. It's top 4. We're all under a blanket.
Either way, tough break for William, and I think he is out of it here. So I'm not sure if he's alt F4 yet or not, but I'll be so angry, and I would just alt F4 there. But they're about to lap Matthew Klein right now. He got his lap back under that green flag cycle, but he's about to get a lap taken away again as these guys are coming up right on him. We'll see where he goes as they are double file, and he decides to stay on the racetrack. And and he gets hard into the outside wall, and another car will spin to the inside. That's Derek M. Smith, I think, and he will save it. But Matthew Klein upside down in turn number 2 after he decides not to get out of the way. He stays on the racetrack, and Derek M. Smith says, nope, I'm not lifting for you. Spins him out, and it's probably going to end Matthew Klein's day. But, man, questionable decision to just not get out of the way there, maybe go to the access road. And that...
They'll get a black flag going to the access road, but not really sure. Both drivers are basically at fault here. Klein's just trying to keep himself down low, but Derek... he didn't lift. He wanted to gun himself to the low side. There was barely a car length there to really fit himself in.
Looks like netcode between Christopher and Derek is what end up spinning Derek out to the inside. We're going to see the replay again maybe, but yeah, Derek...
he pounded the wall.
Yeah, watch Christopher. He has nowhere to go here, and he's just going to pile right under Derek. You can see the netcode take place. He goes right inside of him, basically, and... ends up spinning Derek to the inside. So our race leader and a lap car get together. Also gives Christopher Weil some damage. And now, man, that just threw another wrench into this thing. And it's going to be a short run to the end of this thing. Wow.
I can't believe it.
Can't believe it either.
That was my pick, too. I can't, I don't have any words for stuff like that. I mean, I don't think his intention was just stay in front of the leader, but, I mean, it's just
he was trying to keep it low.
I mean, yeah, he held his line, you can give him that, but he made that hesitant move to maybe go to the access road, and I feel like that would have been the right decision, knowing that he was going to be a lap down anyways, so, I mean, I don't know. It's just a bad situation all around. You see these guys are in the pits. They're going to top off on gas, get fresh tires, and it'll be a maybe 12, 11 lap sprint to the end, barring cautions. But, I mean, man, iRacing still gave Derek M. Smith the lead, but he's going to have to repair that damage, so that lead's most likely going to be gone as he overshoots his pit box again. So, man, that's going from hero to zero in a split second there, and Derek's got some work to do. I'm not even sure if he can even finish the race.
Yeah, I mean,
he
he's
probably
done.
can. He probably can. I mean, it just looked like it was just rear end, but we'll just have to see whether he decides to move on. But Brody Garner, Christopher Weil, Eli O'Quinn, Dominic Howe, Peter Kenny still in this thing.
The most interesting thing about what happened under that yellow, now that it's come out, is that everybody is on a level playing field. There's no more strategy. That's out of the window. So the 41 had that strategy in his hands and he was working that. Now it's gone. Now everyone has fresh tires. Everyone's good to the end on fuel. And now it's just a matter of keeping the draft, staying with the drivers, not making contact, not getting into incidents. This is the final stretch. If we don't get another yellow, and considering the amount of cars, I don't think we'll have another yellow. But now look into this top 3. You see, now that Derek M. Smith has that considerable damage, he's possibly out of this race for good. Eli O'Quinn is into this top 3. Dominic Howe, who was in this pack, is now 4th. Peter Kenny works into the top 5 after kind of hitting his mark, staying by himself during that pit strategy. So pit strategy is all gone. It's just a matter of draft and how you can execute a pass at the end of the race.
All right, coming here looks like the 12 laps to go this time by. So this will in turn put Eli and Peter back into position to win it. Peter's still blinking out.
5 cars left.
For 20 bucks.
Yeah, for 20 bucks.
You've got one driver that has never won. We've got Peter Kenny, who's always an underdog. You got Dominic Howe, who hasn't won in a long, long time. He did almost win that late model race one time at Lanier, but he ended up getting that black flag and ended up losing it. So that's the last big chance that Dominic's had at a win, and this is going to be a race that I think he has a very good opportunity to win as well. And for Brody Garner and Christopher Weil, they've been dominant of this series so far, and they're the 2 to beat right now. They're 1-2, and we'll see if they can stay that way. But yeah, 5 drivers for 20 bucks. We'll see how it goes, guys. Who do you think's going to come out on top?
I don't know. There's.
I'm going with Eli O'Quinn. Aggressive moves all day, and he's been able to keep his car clean, and I think that those moves are going to pay off, and he's going to get his first win. What do you guys think?
I mean, to be honest, I think I'm still holding on to my pick of Brody Garner in the lead right now. He's in the catbird seat, but there's still a considerable amount of time to the point where he can still regain position even through the drafts, and he's been in this situation at Pocono. He's going to try and do it again. This is going to be intense.
Green flag is out. We're back up and away.
Flag,
5 cars to settle it for 12 laps. And oh boy, all bets are off, and you got to be in the right position before that caution or that checkered flag starts waving.
Big disconnection there. You can see on that restart. We'll see how the slipstream's going to work here. Christopher's going to get right up to Brody's rear end. We'll see if he makes a move to the inside, and he does. Battle for the race lead right now. Side by side down the back straightaway. We'll see if these other guys are going to get the tow right behind them.
They probably will, and as these guys start to battle, and I'm pretty sure Brody Garner is going to get the draft off of the 41 and try to make another move for the race lead. That'll allow the 17 and the 58 to try and make a move, but as I say that, here comes Dominic Howe to the bottom of the 17. I don't think, yes, he actually gets it done. So he gets the pass for third as they go side by side down the front straightaway. Brody Garner leads that lap, but it's still not over.
Yep, and they're 2 by 2 between all the lead lap cars. If all 4 of these people wreck it, oh boy, Peter Kenny's going to be sitting in the catbird seat.
Yeah.
And working himself in and around to that front. But right now, 10 laps to go. It's crunch time, but you don't want to mess up now. Because if you do, you're going to cost yourself a bit of money.
Yeah, and for Peter Kenny, the main thing that's keeping him out of this battle right now is his blinking, of course. He can't fix it. It's something that's out of his control, but I've noticed when you blink, you lose any draft that you could get from actually, being able to see the other cars and get the draft off of them on the screen. So that's very unfortunate for Peter Kenny. I mean, I've seen several other guys have that blinking problem. It's prevented them from doing well. So, I mean, these guys could still wreck and he could still get it done. But here comes Eli O'Quinn to the outside looking for the race lead.
Oh, as soon as those moves were starting to play into effect, number 41, Christopher, just pulled away right there, and he keeps himself back up front. You got to take note of how these drivers are going to make their moves and such, because that might be the difference on the white flag once it starts waving. 8 laps to go this time by, and Brody moves himself to the front.
But a good decision by the 41 to stay all the way low. I mean, if you go up high, if you go up to the middle, there still is that possibility for someone to go low on you and really take the race easy. See, he has enough gap to stay up to the high side, up to the wall. But like I mentioned, if you're staying all the way to the bottom, you're forcing the drivers to make a high side move on you. And like we've seen tonight, it has not been the best way to go when it comes to making moves on the racetrack. And, now you see the 41 now under pressure from the 55 Brody Garner. Here it is again, another outside. It's going to be tough to make, but here they go side by side. Brody Garner's going to lead that lap, though.
Got Brody into turns number 1 41, but Christopher filling that bottom side. They're going to stay side by side. It's a matter of how Dominic is going to play his cards out right. He's going to go with the 41, and Christopher might want to split the gap as Christopher puts those left sides on the spin-off area. 2 by 2 yet again with 7 laps to go. They singled themselves out as soon as they went 2 by 2 down the back straightaway. And now the 17 of Eli O'Quinn, sort of laying back here in that 4th spot. 6 laps to go this time by, and Brody is going to push the 41 Christopher into 1.
Yeah, that's really helped him out as we go through 1 and 2 right now. Single file as we sit right now, but I don't think it's going to be single file for much longer. These guys are going to be going for all those 20 bucks right now. Kenneth?
Yeah, they are, and I was just about to mention Eli O'Quinn. Now he's got the draft back up. Was trying to take a look at what these drivers are going to do, and if they got a little bit too aggressive, take the opportunity. But if you're too back on the draft, you could lose it and easily break your shot at winning this race. But here they come to the start-finish line. 5 laps remaining with the 41 and the 55 still battling. The 58 of Dominic Howell lurking behind along with Eli O'Quinn. These are the final 5 laps to decide those 20 bucks, and almost contact between the 2 leaders.
Yeah, my goodness. It's go time now because if the caution comes out, race is official. They're side by side at it again. 3 wide up on the high side. That's Dominic Howell, and he has some help with him.
Yep, looks like that slipstream's going to be sighted on him for now, but O'Quinn backed out and he goes to the inside. I know he did not want to try and make it 4 wide right there, so he did the smart thing and backed out. They get back single file right now, but down the front straightaway, as you said, if a caution comes out, the race will be done here under caution. So we'll have to see if these guys at least make it to the white flag. That's what I hope they do, but we're going to have to see exactly what's going to happen. Net code happens there. Dominic Howell gets pushed up the racetrack. He's going to fall back and forth.
I don't think that was really net code. It's just Dominic who just got really tight in that draft, and unfortunately, he's going to have to work himself really hard back up to this top 2, Christopher Weil and Brody Gardner, Derek M. Smith. I mean, not Derek M. Smith. Eli O'Quinn sitting in 3rd spot. He's going to close the gap between himself and Brody. But is it going to be enough to pass up for the lead? Coming here, 3 laps to go this time by. Christopher all the way down to the inside of the line. Whoa. And you see the big move up on that high side. Here comes Eli.
Yep, and we're going to get taken 3 wide here by Dominic Howell. They're going to be 3 wide going into turn 1. They are squeezing each other right now, and Eli has to get backed out in the middle right there. Man, they about wiped each other out right there, but that's only going to help Christopher Weil. He's going to pull the way down the back straightaway as these guys just try to get back together right now to maybe form a draft and get back up to Christopher right now, but that just hurt all 3 of them.
Yeah, they did. They went 3 wide, and that's obviously entertaining to see, but still, you know, that loses to draft to the 41, and if you're the 41, you want to see those drivers battling for position. You want to see them holding each other up, but now the draft is catching back up to him. Here comes Dominic Howell back to the high side on Brody Gardner. Looks like Brody will stick with the 41 low side. 2 laps to go. This is it.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 miles left in the race. Christopher has held his ground for right now, but Brody's setting up for a charge. They're side by side for 3rd place. I think the benefit's going to go to the 17 of Eli, and he does slide himself into 3rd place, but all these drivers are single file, trying to time their moves out right. Here comes Eli for 2nd.
Go to the outside of Brody, who has to check up right here, and Eli will go pass around the outside for the 2nd spot. We'll see if he can be able to get a slipstream off of the number 41 of Christopher Weil, maybe take the lead down the front straightaway. We're coming to the white flag, the final lap here in the Indy 250. This is 1 lap for 20 bucks. Who's going to win it?
One more time around. Brody Gardner behind the 41 in a turn. Still single file. Eli O'Quinn had the outside pass, and it did not work, so now falling back to 4th. But here they go down the back straightaway again. Inside goes the 41 single file. Another move to the outside.
And that's going to box the 55 in right here. Brody Gardner's going to need to get clear of him, but Dominic is going to get shuffled out on the high side. Here's Brody Gardner to the inside. We're going to work off turn 4 for the final time, and the slipstream is going to be what's going to get the 55 this way.
All right, here we go. All bets are off as they head off of turn number 4 to the high side goes Brody. I think that might make the move for the win at the wire.
Brody Gardner will win as we are crashing behind. That's Christopher Weil and Dominic Howell just flipping out of control. And man, what a finish. Brody Gardner timed that pass extremely well, and he will end up winning $20 and the Indy 250 tonight for his second win of the season. He has swept the ovals so far here in the iSCAR TSP IndyCar Series. Dominic Howell third and Eli O'Quinn fourth, with Peter Kenny coming home with the top 5 here tonight. Wow, guys, what a finish.
Bro, I think Brody Garner was giving us a preview of what he just did right there to the start-finish line. Over the course of the race, he made that high side move on the 41, and it didn't work at the moment. But every single time he edged that 41 to the start-finish line, he did the same move that he's been accustomed to the whole race, and it worked for him. And now a second win on the season. Of course, he swept the ovals. Juan Pocono wins Indy. What a finish to that one.
Damn. Yeah, that's great for Brody, man. He made that move right as he headed himself to the front straightaway. You just have to time your pass right, and he made it off of turn number 4. Traditionally, when you see in NASCAR, you have to make the move once you get on, once you head into turns number 3. It's very rare to see a move off of turn number 4, but here in the IndyCar, you can make that, you can make it work because there's just so much speed and so much draft in this that gets pushed here, and I think this is coming to the white flag. We'll take a look on how this all works out for Brody Gardner in that number 55. Wow, he kept hugging the bottom, and basically the only viable spot was for that 55 to pass up on the high side, and indeed he did so. Pick up the checkered flag. Here we go. We'll take a look at it again. They're all single file, which is very surprising. I expected them to be 2x2, but this allowed for, there was just only one line of momentum going into turns number 3, and all Brody needed to do was get clear of that 58 of Dominic Howell, and all he had to do was just work themselves to the start-finish line, and watch this finish at the wire. Oh my goodness. Take a look at it again. On half speed, Brody just made a really, really great move. Weil didn't even throw the block down the front straightaway. I think he knew he had it lost as soon as Brody made the move off of 4. He tried to push him up, but that even killed Brody's momentum even further. I mean, not Brody's, but Weil's momentum even further. That just led Brody to win it here tonight. Textbook move.
Yeah, I knew he was going to get a run on Christopher there. I mean, he's one of those guys that times his moves, and he was able to come off turn 4, make that move to the outside, and that's what ended up winning him the race was get that slipstream coming off turn 4. That draft is what helped him win, and of course, the car behind him with what you called the arrow push also ended up helping Brody get this win. So, what a race, guys. Even though it had a ton of attrition, only 5 cars were running at the finish of it. Still outstanding race, but man, we hated to see some of those big wrecks. Very preventable crashes.
And with that said, we'll see ourselves to the side and drag in the top 3, Brody, Christopher, and Dominic into the booth. We'll be right back right after this.
North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this 0.625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison. His second win of 1987.
Welcome here back for tonight's post-race event. iSCAR TSP Cup Series, rounding it out in a victory lane is that number 55 of Brody Garner. He's not even in an interview box right now, but before we start plucking people into the interview area, we got to talk about that race. We'll start off with Benjamin. What'd you think of tonight?
Well, I mean, the attrition really made the race interesting as far as some of the guys that were up there. But I mean, I hated to see that second lap crash. That took so many fast drivers out, like Josh Patterson. I mean, Hunter Johnson was also involved. Connor Brandon was involved. So some of those guys that got taken out on that second lap crash, I really feel like any of those guys could have won this race if they were there at the end. But I mean, as far as the racing went, that was outstanding. You could make passes on the outside, which I thought was not going to happen here tonight. But we saw it. We saw three wide moves. We saw drivers go from fifth to first on one straightaway. I mean, it was just wild out there, and we had a good finish.
Yeah, it's exactly what we saw at Pocono with the drivers just flailing to the outside, then to the inside, making passes almost every single lap. And mostly it was between the main three that we saw at Pocono. We saw, of course, Christopher Weil in the 41. We saw Brody Garner in that mix. We saw Derek M. Smith at Pocono. Of course, this finish was way different. We had a bunch of drivers that were taken out, unfortunately, because I feel like if we still had those drivers, they would have made a case for this top five or this top 10 at least, because we had it shift so much with everybody crashing. And but I think one of the things I could take away from this race is Eli O'Quinn, a fourth place finish, a really good finish for him tonight. He really had the shot at the end. He took over second place on the outside from Brody Garner, and it looked like he had a shot at the win. And of course, I mean, unfortunately, he couldn't get it done. But Eli O'Quinn, great finish. But what we saw at the end was pretty much what you wanted to see from Indianapolis.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As we go through full results here right in front of your screen, Brody wins it here after 100 laps of racing. Christopher is in second, Dominic third, Eli in fourth, Peter Kenny with a fifth place finish, 14 seconds back, Derek DNFs, Matthew Klein, William Schmidt, Nick Miller, Diego Moscato rounding out this top 10. Garrett Hess, Justin Johnson, Joe Berge, Mitch Hobbs, Gabe Allen, Corey Rexford, David Bachman, Brian C. Mullen, Cole Woody, Ryan Kendrick round out 20th place. Mulrooney, Nate Stewart, Ryan Berry, Michael Bianchini, Charlie Byer, Hunter Johnson, Latham Joyner, Connor Brandon, Michael DeMago, and Josh Patterson rounded out the rest of the field. And unfortunately, we can't get anybody inside this top three to interview. So that'll be it here for tonight's Max Speed TV broadcast. We'll go ahead and see you coming for tomorrow on the Super Speedway side of things. Until next time, my name is Ezekiel Reyes.
I'm Benjamin White, Kenneth Bueno alongside of us. Thank you, Kenneth, for coming in again tonight. You do a great job here with us. So excited to have you for the rest of the IndyCar season, along with, of course, the Street Stock season, the KBRN Street Stock season. So if you guys haven't seen KBRN, we did have a couple of iSCAR broadcasts over on their channels. So go check out KBRN, K Bueno Racing Network. Obviously, some awesome content there. And for everybody here at MaxspeedTV, we say good night, and tomorrow, Super Speedway. Don't miss it.